What's going on, folks? Welcome to the Joe Morley Sports Show. I am Joe Morley, and if you don't get pumped up when you hear that song, come on. That's a pretty good theme song, right? Anyways, today we're going to talk about the 2020 preview of the Carolina Panthers. A lot of change from last year has gone on in Carolina, so we'll get to that right now. Here's their new head coach, hired from Baylor last year. He was with Baylor the last 2 years. He was a Big 12 Coach of the Year in 2019. His only time in the NFL was in 2012 as an assistant offensive line coach for the Giants. I'll run some numbers for you. He was a head coach at Temple, did a pretty good job there. Then got the head coaching job at Baylor, which then he became the coach of the year last year. In his 7 years as a head coach, a college head coach, he was 47-43, 19-20 at Baylor, and that includes last year where he went 11-3, and that was his best year. So we'll see what he becomes as a head coach in Carolina. They wanted to change. They had, Ron Rivera there. He did a great job. I guess they just wanted a culture change, so they brought in Matt Ruhle, and we'll see what he does. Here's the team rankings from the Carolina Panthers last year, but of course this was Ron Rivera's team. Now they're moving on. But their offense was 19th. One of the worst passing teams right there. They're rushing. I mean, when you have Christian McCaffrey, you're going to rush the ball, right? And their defense, from what we know, remember the Carolina Panthers defense of old? That's what used to carry the team, right? When they had a great defense. Well, the defense couldn't stop the run last year, and so they weren't even around. If you look, their offense couldn't convert on third downs, and their defense couldn't stop them either. I mean, they're not horrible, but they were like in the middle of the pack. But Cam Newton last year played 2 games for them. And so they had Kyle Allen start, and he went 5-1. Remember, everybody's like, Kyle Allen's going to be the next quarterback. When Newton comes back, there's no way that Allen's going to lose his job. And then they went on to lose 8 straight games. Christian McCaffrey carried this offense. This number 19 offense was all Christian McCaffrey. Well, I would say there's 3 of them, 3 guns on that offense, and they're pretty good players. But Christian McCaffrey by far carried that team. He had 1,387 yards rushing, 15 TDs, and another 1,000 yards receiving and 4 TDs. So that offense was Christian McCaffrey, is Christian McCaffrey, and will continue to be Christian McCaffrey, even with Matt Ruhle as the coach. The 2 guys that stood out were, D.J Moore and Curtis Samuel. D.J Moore had over 1,000 yards receiving, 6 touchdowns, and Curtis Samuel was at 627, 630-ish, and with his 6 touchdowns. So I expect those 2 wide receivers to step up and take a little pressure with the new quarterback here. And here's your new quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, right? You all know him. Most of you guys know him when he got drafted in 2014 with the Minnesota Vikings. He was the first round pick there. He went there, had some good seasons with the Vikings. He went 11-5 in 2015. Where in that year he threw 14 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 65% completion rate, and that was the year. But then after that, he had that gruesome leg injury, was out for a season, signed with the Saints, and then last year when Drew Brees went down, that's when you saw Teddy Bridgewater come in, and he put these stats up right here with the Saints last year: 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And with that same offense, you just rely on those weapons that you have in that same offense. He went 5-0 as a starter with them, so this is what they're hoping to get. They're hoping to get the old Teddy Bridgewater, the Teddy Bridgewater that I showed a glimpse. But I don't know. I'm not really sold on it. When Teddy, the before injury, if you would have told me this was the before injury Teddy Bridgewater, I would be sold on it. And I'd be like, oh, this is a great pickup. Now, I don't know. I just think that he's not the elite kind of guy. He's good, but I don't see him being that. I think he's just that stopgap still. He's still going to be that stopgap guy, get that Matt Ruhle offense going. But I don't see him being fantastic. Here's the free agents they added. They brought in another wide receiver when they already had 2 good wide receivers. Robbie Anderson from the Jets, you know him. He's coming in because he has familiar. He went to college and was coached by Matt Ruhle. So he's coming in, and he's put up 1,000-yard season, a couple of them with the Jets. So that's going to help out. I like Tahari Whitehead. A lot of people probably don't know who he is. He was with the Lions and he went to the Raiders the last couple of years. he has a little problem when it comes with like covering people out of the backfield. That might be his only problem. But I mean, man, he's always around the ball. He's a team leader, and for this young team that just lost, their linebacker, their middle linebacker who's been there, that's going to help him out. And I put P.J. Walker on here because you never know what will happen with Teddy Bridgewater, or if Teddy Bridgewater is the guy. P.J. Walker, if you watched any of the XFL games, was clearly the MVP of the XFL, which a lot of people would downgrade and be like, oh, it's just the XFL. The XFL is still full of NFL players, of top talent guys that they weren't just slouches. They weren't just like a park, going to the park and playing on Thanksgiving Day with a bunch of randoms. P.J. Walker put up good numbers against actual, good players. So he's somebody to watch on that team. And of course, he went to Baylor as well and was coached by Matt Ruhle. Here's their 2020 draft class. I was high on Derrick Brown. Derrick Brown is like one of the best defensive tackles I've seen, that I personally seen. I don't like comparing people to the best player in the league, but if anybody is as close to being one of the top defensive tackles in a draft class, and being like a day one starter from the get go, and being that how could I say it, like that franchise changer, that's him, right? They needed help stopping the run. Derrick Brown can immediately like that stop it and like make an impact today, like Aaron Donald did with the Rams, right? That's what I expect out of Derrick Brown. I don't expect him to be Aaron Donald, but I expect him to be that immediate impact guy. And then Gross Matos, they got in the second round, and he should have went first round. A lot of people were saying he could have gone first round. So that's a good pickup right there. The rest of the guys, you hope that you hit on one of them. But those two guys right there, for a defense that couldn't stop the run or had problems stopping the run, you bring two, of the college football's best defensive linemen, and you bring them both in. It's a pretty good start, right? That's where you got to start. Here's a projected depth chart for their offense. Teddy Bridgewater, Christian McCaffrey, D.J. Moore, Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel. So that the three wide receivers right there, should be able to help Teddy Bridgewater out. One of them should be open. They lost Greg Olsen. They lost, Cam Newton's gone. They traded Trey Turner for Russell Okung. So they brought, that. I don't know if that's an upgrade or what, but I think it's the status quo. They just stayed the same right there. Their offensive line, I don't think it's the greatest, but it's not bad. It's good enough to do what they need to do and keep. I mean, if they feed Christian McCaffrey like they have always done, they should be good, right? They should be able to put up points. It's the defense that needs to stop because the offense is going to put up points. Christian McCaffrey, D.J. Moore, Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, they should put up points, and there's no doubt about it that that's a solid lineup. I mean, Ian Thomas is he's probably not the greatest tight end, but he's not bad either. So I'm not going to knock him. That's one of the best. You can't get much better than that. I mean, those are good players. Here's your defense. Not a lot of big names. If you look, I like Shaq Thompson. I like Brian Burns. Short's good. Brown's good. Whitehead, I've already talked about him. Tre Boston, he just is always good, right? He's just underrated everywhere. We'll see what Pride and Jackson can do. And that's, it looks like they're trying to make improvements. I don't know. Losing Kuechly is a big loss. I think that's a big loss. That's a big leadership. That's like your quarterback on defense, and he's gone now. So I think the defense will struggle again this year, but they're gonna get there. It's gonna get there, but it's not gonna help. I mean, they're in a very tough division when they're facing Tampa Bay. They're facing Saints with Drew Brees. So, I mean, come on. Here they go, week 1 versus the Raiders. I don't know. I like the Raiders' offense. I think the Raiders' offense can tear that defense up. Then they go against the Bucs and Tom Brady and Mike Evans. And you think they're going to be able to stop them? No. Chargers? I don't know. Chargers have a potential, have good offense. Cardinals, good offense. Falcons. I don't know. Julio Jones and Matt Ryan could just dominate them. I don't know how many other weapons. Calvin Ridley, maybe. So that would be a tough one. The Bears, their offense could be there. Then they got the Saints, the Falcons, the Chiefs, the Bucks. Matthew Stafford stays healthy. The Lions' offense should be good. The Vikings' offense is good. I like the Broncos' offense. The the Packers. So they're going to play a lot of good offenses. If they can't get that defense going, who cares if they can put up 24 points a game on offense? Because that defense is going to give up 30, and that's what you got to look at. They're playing this is a loaded schedule of good offensive teams, and I think that's what's going to hold the Panthers down, and that's why I put them at a 5-11 prediction. You know, if a couple things go their way, Teddy Bridgewater gets on a roll with the wide receivers, and Christian McCaffrey breaks a couple, and the defense actually stops a couple people, maybe 7-9. But I think 5-11 is generous for this team. New head coach, new quarterback. No, defense is turned over. A lot of new guys are in here. Because they had Jared McCoy last year too. He's gone to Dallas. So they 5-11 might even be like too generous to them. So that's why I put a low of 3-13. They could be picking high again next year, just because of the division that they're in. I mean, that's and you saw the schedule. That's a tough schedule for this team. That's a tough schedule for a new head coach coming into the league. Here's their salary cap status. It looks low right now, $3 million. They need to sign their draft picks, but that's not taking Luke Kuechly off the board. He's made $11 million, so that's going to add a little bit more there. So they'll be able to get everybody under the cap there. Next year, they really don't have the money. I think Luke Kuechly's still on there, so that would take that off too. Give it a couple more million, plus the salary cap adjustment. Give it a couple more. But they're not really losing anybody. I think Russell Okung is only going to be like their only big name free agent next year. So they're going to be able to add more. It's a young team, so add in more veterans with the little bit of money that they have if they want to go that route. So, like I said, 5-11 for the Carolina Panthers. I think I'm being generous. I think I'm helping them out a little bit, giving them the benefit of the doubt. I'm not a big fan of Matt Ruhle. I'll tell you that right now. Hopefully he surprises me. I could be wrong on that. I'm a big fan of Christian McCaffrey, hands down. I'm a big fan of D.J. Moore. I like Curtis Samuel. I'm a big fan of that offense. I like that offense. Not a fan of the coach. Not a fan of the defense. I think the defense, which used to be the ones that carried Carolina, I thought the defense used to be the backbone of this team. No more. I don't know. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is the answer. I'm not sold on Teddy Bridgewater. I think he could be good and great at times, but I also think he will struggle. I mean, he throws 65%, and he can run a little bit, but that was with the Saints offense. You know what I mean? And that's not his offense. When he was in Minnesota, it was built around him, and he actually did good, and he did it. But that was a long time ago too. That was 3 seasons ago, and a lot has changed, and his mentality has to be there. And Carolina believes in him. I just don't. I see him being a good quarterback, but I don't see it making a big enough change for the Carolina Panthers. How about that? Like, it doesn't. It's not going to translate to more wins for the Carolina Panthers. It's not going to make them a better team than what they were last year. I mean, that's just me. That's my thoughts on the 2020 Carolina Panthers. I mean, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I mean, I'm trying to be nice to the Panthers. I just don't think that they're going to be there. I don't think that this year they have a chance to return to being one of the top teams. So we'll see how that goes. All right, guys, have a great day. I'm Joe Morley, and thanks for watching. Make sure to check out JoeMorleySports.com.